Good morning and welcome to Nationwide Arena for the Blue Jackets Morning Skate Live here on Jackets TV, presented by Ohio Health. Bob McElligott and Jody Shelley with you, taking a look at the team who just got their legs loosened up a little bit. Now they've met in the middle of the ice, and they're getting ready to start the drills on this morning skate. And this is going to be Game 6 of their series with the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Blue Jackets in a must-win situation here tonight, trailing in this best-of-7 series 3-2. Let's just go right to it and take a look at what happened on Saturday night in Pittsburgh. And Jody, the Pittsburgh Penguins, they get back into this series in a big way. They played their best game of the series by far, but the Columbus Blue Jackets actually set the tone early. And we're going to have Chris Clark's going to come in here and meet us. But let's look at the highlights from Saturday first and watch how the Blue Jackets got out to the early lead in that game on Saturday in Pittsburgh. Boone Jenner on the power play here in the waning moments of the power play put the Blue Jackets up 1-0.
Well, Boone Jenner had a great opportunity here. He gets put down, as you can see, and he wills his way to stay in the play, and the puck ends up on his stick. What a great start for the Jackets. Great start, and then the Penguins actually turned it up from there, and the Penguins went on to score the next 3 goals here. Let's take a look at it. First of all, Sidney Crosby down low, Chris Kunitz. That was a tough one for Sergei Bobrovsky. He turned to his left, lost the puck, turned to his left, it went back to his right. And then this is the one that actually seals the deal, makes it 2-1. Jussi Jokinen on that rebound puts it by, and all that was left for the Penguins was to add an empty net goal in the third period. And it was Chris Letang able to put that one into the net, and that solidified the Penguins' 3-1 victory. And again, Jody, that was disappointing for the Blue Jackets the other night, but the Penguins did play strong, and they got to win in their building, which they had to do. I like the way the Jackets played. I know there's a lot of talk about the Penguins and their push, and everyone expected all series that the Penguins would come out and stomp them. They showed a little more emotion. Sure, they made some adjustments and were better with the puck. I thought the Jackets really did themselves a disservice by not getting the puck to the net. I know that the Penguins layered up in front of Fleury, but still, the will to get the puck to the net, I think we'll see more of that tonight. And that was a game Sergei Bobrovsky could have stolen for the Blue Jackets on Saturday night. He was outstanding. There you take a look at Sergei getting ready this morning, but he was very good on Saturday evening. He made some big saves. I know what you just saw there. There was a rebound or two, but, you know, the fact of the matter is this guy was on fire Saturday night. Yeah, he was. He played that game. We all said he needs to steal a game for this Jackets team to get in the series or to win the series, and I thought he did it was a great effort by him. The Jackets just didn't get on the board, but look for another big effort from Sergei. He loves the moment. He didn't like being bumped as much as he got bumped the other night. That's for sure. He would never say it, but there was a lot of it, and we might see one here where he gets bumped. Guys just going to the net. He owns that blue paint, but guys are getting in there, and watch the Jackets pay attention to that, because if the refs aren't going to take care of it, look at that. If the refs aren't going to take care of that, then the players will have to try that to take care of it within the boundaries of the rules. Well, and obviously that was a game plan for the Penguins to get in there and put that kind of pressure on Sergei Bobrovsky. Let's take a look at how this series has gone so far. This is Game 6, as I said, and as we look at it, you'll see it's been alternating wins here. Blue Jackets have got to win tonight and then have got to win Game 7 to win this whole thing, but there you see those scores. Of course, the first 3 wind up 4-3, one in overtime, one in double overtime before Pittsburgh got that 3-1 win. All right, you've seen Chris Clark sitting in here between us the whole time, and he is the Blue Jackets Director of Player Development, but he's also a guy that played a long time in this league and was a former captain of the Washington Capitals. These kind of series, Chris, what's it like for you to sit and watch this series now from above instead of being right out there in the thick of it?
It's awful. Absolutely awful. I've only been – I know Jody knows the same thing. I've only been to one game so far because I've been on the road watching our prospects and in Springfield and such, but I was at the last home game, and that was, the first period and seeing the guys and feeling the atmosphere and all the festivities that were going on. It was hard. It was hard for me to watch my first couple games after retiring, and this was, just as bad, just being out there and watching the guys. And, it took me till the end of the game to really get into it and not feel like I wanted to be on the ice and be a part of it. I don't think you'll ever lose that, Clarky. It's just one of those things. But how about your reward now? I mean, you're playing a big role in this organization. Jarmo has a lot, and JD, they rave about what you've done with these young guys. And here you have young rookie players who I'm sure you've had a relationship with now for a few years. You talk about Ryan Murray, Ryan Johansson, Boone Jenner. You got up here right now, Jack Skilly was down in the minors, Dalton Prout. I could keep going on, obviously. But when you see these guys develop, are they obviously – a little ahead of probably where you expected? Yeah, absolutely. The big one I always talk about has been Boone Jenner. He's the type of guy that has played the exact same way since I saw him in Oshawa last year. He played the same way all year. he's not the highly skilled guy. He doesn't go out there and he's not flashy, but you look at the scoreboard afterward and he has 4 hits, an assist, a goal, and it's just something that he came into Springfield last year, played the last 5 games of the year, went into the playoffs there, and he became one of the better players on the team. And, in just the 3-4 weeks that he played there. And then, he came here during the summer. He knew what he had to do. He knew he had to come here, be with the team, get settled, work out with the guys. Did that for a couple months, came into training camp, did the exact same. He didn't change. He didn't change anything he did. He didn't try to do anything special. He didn't try to go out and win a job. He just played his game, and his game is to be in the NHL. And obviously we've seen him be one of the better players in the playoffs here.
And now, is that hard for these young guys to sometimes get to this level or get to the American League and change something about their game?
They always feel like some of the guys that they play in Springfield one way, and then they come up here and play a different way. And sometimes when they come up here and play in Columbus, they play simple. They get pucks out. They know they can't make a mistake. Then all of a sudden they get sent back down for whatever reason. The guy that they were called up for got his back off the IR or whatnot. But they come back and they think they need to do more. But the reason why they were called up was because, that was the way they played. They don't need to play better down there. They need to play their game. Their game got them to the NHL, but they always think, and it takes a while. It took me a while. I'm sure it took you a while. But you need to think the same way in the NHL as you do in the AHL, because that's what's going to get you there.
You mentioned the fact that Boone did go there and play playoff games last year, and he came right from junior and he went into an important situation in Springfield. How much does that help a guy that he got a little taste of pro hockey and playoff pro hockey before he even came to training camp this year?
Oh, I think it's great. Even if the guys, we have a couple guys, Marco Dano, TJ Tynan in Springfield right now. Marco's playing, TJ came a little bit later, so it's tough for him to jump right into playoff action, but just to be with the guys and practice at the tempo, at a pro tempo, see the games, see how playoff hockey is different than regular season. And then, TJ hasn't had the opportunity to come into because of being in college, he hasn't had come into training camp. So this is big for him. He now fits in. He now will come into training camp knowing guys, knowing, basically half a team. So it's not that he has that familiarity going in. So I think it's huge for them. And then, obviously with these guys and Boone coming in last year and making an impact.
Hey, speaking of that, you have some guys that are here right now just to kind of soak up the atmosphere. Alexander Wenberg, who was the first-round pick of the Blue Jackets last summer, he's here. I think Mike Riley was here, wasn't he? And Oscar Dansk, I saw you over there with earlier today. Of course, he's a goaltender that was taken in the second round in Pittsburgh a couple of summers ago. So what's it like for these kids to be around? They're not playing, they're not skating, they're not doing any of that, but just to be around the atmosphere. I know after that overtime win the other night, Riley and Wenberg were in the dressing room just watching the whole scene of what's going on. What does that mean to a young guy just to experience that?
Playoff hockey, you can come to a game in the regular season. Playoff hockey, outside, inside, in the locker room, everything, it's just different. Jody, it's just different. Everything's ramped up, everything's to a higher level. And for these guys to see that and to get a taste of that, they obviously want to play in the NHL, but when they get there, they got that taste of being around the playoff atmosphere. They're going to want that even more.
How about Game 4 the other night when you had Wenberg here? I mean, he had to be blown away by that the building. I've never seen it like it.
Exactly. These guys are coming from Europe where, it's not stadiums like this. They might sell out, but it's, maybe 9,000, 10,000, and they have their European style, right. The chants and the rocks, but nothing compares to this, especially this building, how loud it gets. It gets loud here when it's not full. When it's full like it was the last couple of games, it's rocking.
And I think an exciting thing, for us, you look at those guys, and I can already see how, Wenberg has developed more. He's a little bit bigger than he was when he was here in the summertime, and, he'll put on muscle and all those things, and you start to get excited, too, and think, look, this team is pretty good right now. What about when you start putting guys like this in the lineup?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think as an organization, it was had a couple rough years, drafting in the first round and whatnot, and I don't know how many of our first rounders we still have, but you look at the last 3 or 4 years with Johansson and Murray and these guys now coming in and being the players they were projected to be. And now we had 3 first-round draft picks last year. So in a couple of years, are these guys going to be here? And if they are they going to be, contributing like these guys? And if they are, it's huge. We had a couple free agents, and then all of a sudden we have it's a contender every year. It's not just, I hope we make the playoffs. I know as an organization, we want to be contenders every single year from now on.
All right, well, a lot of that rides on your shoulders. So,
yeah, keep up the good work.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for coming over and talking to us
no
this morning.
problem.
All right,
Yeah, it was
great
fun.
to see you. Chris Clark here with us this morning. So let's get set up for this game tonight. Blue Jackets and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And, it is going to be exciting here this evening. There's no doubt about that. And for the Blue Jackets, Jody, we'll watch as we go along here. But one of the interesting things is who's going to be in the lineup tonight, who's not going to be in the lineup tonight, because head coach Todd Richards did kind of allude to the fact yesterday that he might make some changes here before this game.
Well, I can see the guys over there tweeting, and it's Jeff Rimmer, Aaron Portzline. They're buckling down on Twitter over there. I know they're not sending text messages.
I'm going to check.
Jared Boll looks like he's in. He took 3 or 4 line rushes with Letestu and McKenzie. That'll be interesting. I'm not sure if Como is out or someone else is out in this lineup, but it looks like Jared Boll will play at the right side. I didn't pay attention to the detail pairs. You'll have to check out the Blue Jackets Twitter.
Here we go. Here's what Jeff Rimmer is saying. That Umberger and Nikitin are absent. Boll is skating on the 4th line, and Schultz is paired with Wisniewski.
Okay, well, there you go. So that's why Boll is playing on that line. So Umberger looks like he got banged up a little bit last game. I think he went off, and he continued to play, but obviously something set in there. And then Nikitin is out, you said?
Well, he's Jeff says he's not on the ice. We were talking to Chris, so take a look around.
Well, we'll have to ask Todd. I don't know what he'll reveal, but we'll try to figure out what's going on here. So that's always interesting, as the game and the series goes on. A team that can make adjustments.
Thing too. If Nikitin is out, wouldn't you think just I shouldn't say common sense. That's not the right way to put it. But I think the normal way of thinking would be you lose a big-body defenseman, maybe Dalton Prout, big-body defenseman, would go in there to take his spot. But Nick Schultz did play very well. There you see Nick right now. He played very well when he got a chance to play, and he is that veteran guy, as we've talked about numerous times since they picked him up at the trade deadline.
Well, you might think of young mistakes in a couple of the situations with the Jackets and these swings of the games, and there's nothing wrong with putting a veteran in, especially in this postseason, especially against the Pittsburgh Penguins. But on the other side of that, I got Dalton Prout for me is just as good as an option, if not, he's got that size. So we said this last time. Todd has the luxury of going with a smaller, skilled veteran player, or B, the Dalton Prout, the workhorse that'll jump in there. So it's a scenario thing.
If Jared Boll winds up in the lineup tonight, do you think that ties in with the fact of what you were talking about when we showed those highlights of Sergei Bobrovsky getting roughed up a little bit, to put that element back in the game, keep the Penguins a little bit more accountable?
I think it could. I mean, what can he really do? He's not going to go out there and take a dumb penalty. That's the time of the year when you just can't do that. But he brings a presence and a certain sense of accountability immediately to the lineup. A, because he throws big hits. B, he's willing to do whatever he's got to do for the team. And the third thing is, if someone wants to throw down with him, then it can happen.
And I doubt you find that guy that wants to throw down with him with the Penguins. But then you never know. They've got they got some guys over there that if they had to do it, that they would do it. And also, Jared, we talked about his leadership before when he came back from his injury. And also, here's another thing. When he came back from that injury, I don't think you argue with me if I say that he wasn't still at 100%. And maybe right now he's still not at 100%, but I think after what's really been another week and a half of being out there and skating and practicing, that he's probably a little bit better now than he was in that at the start of this playoff series against the Penguins.
I'm sure that he'll tell you that too. I mean, it's tough. We said this before about players and injuries. When you come back, you think you're ready, and when you look back, I'll go to Dalton Prout. I had a conversation with him just a short while ago after he got back up from Springfield, and he said he feels so much better now. And he thought he was ready to go and had that up-tempo pace, but he was half a step behind. And it's nice to see that confidence in these guys' eyes. And I'm sure Jared Boll would tell you the same thing. Every day of practice, he's getting better. Watching these games, you get better watching these games. You are, first of all, you get a heightened sense of excitement because you want to be a part of it. And then second of all, you pay attention to what guys are doing right and wrong, and you learn from them.
Taking a look right there at Fedor Tutin and James Wisniewski. Fedor giving a little hook to Wisniewski as he's trying to play the puck. James Wisniewski in this series comes into this game tonight with 2 assists in 5 games. He's a -6 on the ice. We've talked about him repeatedly. He is a risk-reward kind of a guy. I mean, he's going to take a lot of risks. Sometimes they're going to backfire. But then again, other times you really do get rewarded by the kind of game that he plays. So when it gets into this kind of series, in a game like this, how much risk reward can you afford to have here in a game that's an elimination game?
He's got to tighten it up, and he knows it. I mean, he's had a couple bad bounces, obviously, off the back of his skate. Led to that Stepniak goal, which was a 2-on-1 shot down the wing. That was in Game 3, I think. And then, there's been some plays where, you're just wondering what he's doing. But overall, he's played pretty solid. He needs to get back to getting the puck to the net. That's where he's picked up all those assists during the regular season. Him with only 2 assists, that's the glaring part for me. And he's getting his points the same way Niskanen is getting them. Getting the puck through to the net, making a smart heads-up play to the side of the net, not shooting the puck in the player's pads. That's when James Wisniewski is at his best, when he's playing smart on the offensive zone, not that big booming shot or that play that he hopes to get through.
Speaking of that, that's the one thing that really bothered me about the game the other night. And I know the Penguins, changed their defense, and they locked down in the third period, especially when they got up by 1. But here's the fact of the matter. You went from having 46 shots on net in the game here on Wednesday night, and you turned around and had barely 20 in the game on Saturday night, whereas the Penguins went the opposite way. They put 50 shots on net on Saturday. And I talked to Wisniewski in particular after that game on Wednesday night, and I said, all year long we've talked about you guys shooting the puck, and it looks like you just got to a point. And he said, me personally, I decided I was going to shoot the lights out of everything. And then on Saturday, it looked like they were trying to pick their spots, and, the Penguins weren't giving them anything. I get that, but how much more do they have to get that puck to the net? Even if it doesn't get there, just shoot it anyway and find a way.
Bob, that's a great point. I mean, that's exactly what this team has to do. And well, sure, Pittsburgh made an adjustment. They changed up their cycle game. They had more puck possession time. They were quick to get out of their end, and they really controlled the play in the offensive zone. And the Jackets were limited to 1 shot on net and then nothing. No rebound, no second chance. It was a whistle or a face-off. They really stymied the Jackets' shooting. And the Jackets, you have to give a little credit to the Penguins, but I think you have to say, hey, Blue Jackets, you're not going to have success, especially on Fleury. Sure, they protected him the other night, but, hey, you have to pay the price to get in there and battle with those guys to get that second chance on a bouncing puck.
I heard a stat this morning that said that in the last 2 games, with 13 minutes and less left, the Blue Jackets were limited to maybe 2 shots in one game, 3 shots in the other game. That's 5 shots in 2 games after there were 7 minutes elapsed in the third period. Now, one of the easy ways to counteract that is have the lead.
Right.
Because obviously if the Penguins have the lead, they're trying to just shut it down. I get that. But as you just said, skate the puck up the ice and fire it. If you want your rebounds off Marc-Andre Fleury, you got to shoot.
You got to shoot, but you got to shoot from anywhere, even below the goal line. Get that in that dangerous area. Work for that bounce off the goalie. Shoot from the boards. That's when they've had success really all season long.
And again, that's what they did on Wednesday night. And they came back and they tied the game late, and then they won the game in overtime. Is that another sign of a young team where they do that on Wednesday, and here you come 3 nights later, and all of a sudden it's totally the opposite?
Sure. But I still like that they don't have the kind of they're not looking up to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Right. They're not giving them that extra amount of respect that Pittsburgh thinks they deserve.
Well, their media thinks they deserve it. I think the Penguins are okay with the way this has played out. They get it. They understand it.
Yeah, I get a sense of swagger from them though when they come in the building, or they think that they're and they are. They've earned that elite league status, and they have the best player in the world. That gives you a certain amount of swagger too. But I go back to I love what the Jackets are. I love what they're about. And I expect a win here tonight from the Columbus Blue Jackets. It's going to be a battle, no doubt. But, it's got to be one of those things where – and we left Pittsburgh the other night, and, we heard some comments on the way out of town. They feel really good about themselves. They think they've stepped it up in the series, in the game. Sure they have, but here's what. The Jackets have too. They've earned their right to be in the playoffs. They've earned the right for a Game 6 at home, and they're going to do whatever they can to get to Game 7. Because we know, Bob, Game 7 – all bets out the window.
Yeah, they are. Game 7's a crapshoot every time. Doesn't matter where it's played. It is a total crapshoot. So, but the Blue Jackets have to win this one tonight to get to that point. They know that. And really, Jody, how many times did we go down the stretch? We sat and we did this thing in the mornings before the season was over and said, listen, you got to win 4 out of the next 7. You got to win 5 out of the next 6. And there were many days that you would sit there and say, look at the schedule. You're not winning 4 out of 7.
I know.
But they would do it, and they picked up the points they needed to get to this point.
And it really gave us a good opportunity on this airtime to talk about something. Right. That's all it was, a bunch of hot air. Yeah. So now it's fun to talk about what's going on tonight. Todd Richards has pulled his group in now. These are one of these famous on-ice kind of pep talk. He won't talk to them again until 5:30 tonight at the pregame kind of meeting. So it's just a mindset thing here. Go home, enjoy yourself, have a good bite to eat, get rested, and come back here and get ready to go to war in front of your fans.
Yep, and that was a quick meeting right there, as you just said. So nothing, you're not. These guys have just listened to you for 90-some games, right?
Yeah. But what's interesting is Dan Baalsma and Jacques Martin pulled those guys aside last game at home and had probably a 5 or 6 minute conversation on ice, what seems to be a long time.
And Jacques Martin did most of the talking.
He did all of
the
it,
other day,
and at the end, and it was like, okay, this is odd for a group, a veteran group. I think the coaching staff handed the room off to the players and kind of let them go through the first part of this series, guiding them. But that was kind of a thing like, hey, a little bit of we need to pull it back. Don't think that you're better than this team. Kind of a speech. And they responded pretty well.
They did respond pretty well. And how did the Blue Jackets respond tonight? That is going to be the big question. Look at the first 2 home games, Jody. You talked about in game 1, harness the energy. They did. They came out. They built an early 2-0 lead. To me, they've been through about everything in this series. And there's Nick Foligno, and he's the guy that won it, of course, last time with that overtime game winner. Talking with Dan Hinote right now about this game tonight. But, harnessing that energy, they need to do that again. But have they gone through every experience now? Are they coming into this game even more so than any other game in this series, knowing exactly the way it's going to set up and how they have to handle what they encounter?
That's interesting. Pittsburgh can throw so many things at you. I think they're prepared as much as they can be. Yeah, I think they're highly prepared. I love this little conversation we're seeing with Dan Hinote. Mm-hmm. This is an important time right here for this little conversation because you don't know what Nick Foligno is on, what's on his mind. Maybe he doesn't feel that, maybe he feels he should be put out there on the power play more or should be out there the last minute of the game. He's thought about that after a loss. You go home, you think about things. Why didn't I do this? Why did I do that at the blue line? I should have done this. Well, Dan Hinote is there to pick him up and say, hey, no, you know what? You did great last game. You look great out there. Continue that forecheck. Bring that mindset. Todd will get you out there on the ice because I know Nick Foligno wants to play more. He's got the kind of a bad knee, and we know he wants to get out there and play. Or a bad lower body, I guess. He just wants to play. Whatever. It's just a wild guess. But it's interesting how those dynamics work. So that's an important part of this whole thing is Dan Hinote bringing that experience and that conversation on the ice.
And when you talk about that experience, it's not only an experience as an assistant coach that's worked with Todd Richards for the last couple of years. This guy's a Stanley Cup champion. He's been there. He's gone through the entire cycle, and he's hoisted the Stanley Cup, which gives you a great perspective in these playoffs.
Of course, and that's the respect level that he gets from his young team. That's a conversation. It could have been about anything. Could have been about what they had for breakfast or what they're going to do for lunch. But I've had those conversations with coaches, especially after losses. It's a crucial time to say, hey, you know what? You're thinking too much. Make sure you show up tonight and have the best possible time you can.
Talking about thinking too much, and that is a key, right? I mean, it's sometimes these types of games are almost shut your brain off and just go out there and do what you do.
I'm telling you, as a professional athlete, and I learned this later in my career, we always had we have team psychologists, and it's all about you're at your best when you're not thinking. Thinking causes apprehension. Thinking lets you worry about too much. But when you can put those worries away, pay attention to a few things you need to take care of, and just play, you're at your best. And that's anywhere in life. So you can write that down, Bob, and take it with you later on today.
I've been trying to live by that all my life. I've done very little thinking. I've just reacted.
And you've done a great job.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Sergei Bobrovsky's come out of the net. He's over and doing some stretching in front of the bench. Jeremy Smith, who is the third goalie that's up here from Springfield, now getting in, taking some shots for the guys. And you can see a lot of guys are staying out there and taking some extra shots here in this morning skate prior to Game 6 with the Blue Jackets and the Penguins here this evening, as you get a good look at Sergei right there, who had as we talked about, he had a really good game the other night in Pittsburgh. That was one that, if the Blue Jackets win that, I think we're talking about Sergei stealing that game against the Penguins in their building.
Yeah, and that's what he did. He gave them a good chance to do that. So look for another big effort tonight. Sergei Bobrovsky, world-class goalie.
All right, head coach Todd Richards is joining us here after coming off the ice from the morning skate. Todd, you alluded to the fact yesterday you might have some lineup changes. Are there any that you can divulge for us here this morning?
Well, Jared Boll will go in for Umberger. Shoulder not 100%. And then the other change is Nikitin not feeling great, so he'll be out, and Nick Schultz will go in.
When you put Nick Schultz in, we were talking about the fact you have Dalton Proud here, so you could go one big body guy for another big body guy. But do you like Nick Schultz and the fact that he is a veteran, he's been through this, and you know what he's going to bring to the table?
Experience, can really help you at this time of the year, and it's not that that's the trump card or anything else. He's played well down the stretch. He's done some good things for us. So getting him in the lineup will help solidify our back end.
Todd, as the media gobs go behind you into the dressing room, we can see there. There's a lot of talk on how the Pittsburgh Penguins made a push. Do you feel a little bit, though, that the Jackets maybe let them off the hook a little bit in Game 5?
They did a good job. They had a game plan. Their team came in. I thought they skated really well. They put a lot of pressure on us and forced us into some turnovers, which resulted in more defensive zone time. So we need to come in and kind of the same attitude, same mentality. I think that we've done it for the most part the whole series. We got away from it a little bit last game, but I think that was based on what they were doing. We just need to be faster. And I think, you always hear guys talking about we got to be better, we got to be better. And to me, better is simple. It's just a more intense focus. And when you're more intense and I think your focus is more acute, you do everything else better. You're probably a little bit more physical. Your passes are crisper and more on the tape. And positionally, you're better too because you're thinking clearer and you're into the game.
In the last game, Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby played together a lot, being put on the same line. Dan Bosma doing that to try to counteract some of the things that you were doing. Don't know if he's going to do that tonight or not. But when he does that, how does that change things for you? And now being the home team tonight and having the last line change, how can you kind of manage that a little bit better perhaps?
Well, last line change is huge because obviously you can wait and see who he's going to put out on the ice. There are some things you don't have any control over, especially on icings. You see the puck get shot down the ice, and you know right away that more than likely if those two guys weren't out on the ice, one of them will be, if not both of them. So it's how we manage the puck, trying to eliminate those unnecessary times where we ice the puck down the ice so he can get a line change, and then it gets away from the matchups that I want. But those two guys playing together, it does pose a bit of a problem, but it's not going to change anything in our approach. You just got to be aware of who you're out on the ice against.
Sergei Bobrovsky took some bodies the other night. The Penguins they made contact for sure, and I know that your guys talked about it after the game. They talked about it yesterday too. With Jared Boll in the lineup tonight, I'm not saying that's the only reason you're putting him in there by any means, but will it be nice to have a guy on the bench that you can flip out there over the boards just to remind the Penguins you do have a physical element?
Yeah, well, I think they know that already, and I think Jared can add to that. And I don't think at this time of year it's about intimidation or anything like that. I think Jared brings a lot more than just his physical presence and his physical ability out on the ice, but there's a lot of character and leadership that you can always use at this time of the season. So getting him back in the locker room, getting him on the bench, where he's vocal and he can talk, those are all pluses.
How much have your guys been afraid to get in scrums in front of the net there to an extent just because of the rules in the league trying to crack down on a lot of that? And obviously you don't want to take a bad penalty in this series.
That's exactly it. You try to play smart. You want to play discipline. We know that we can't take any unnecessary penalties, which is the extracurricular stuff that usually goes on in scrums around the net. And because you're worried about what the referees are going to call. And, so far I think they've been letting some stuff go. Which does lead to a little bit of those scrums, but again, that's playoff hockey too, and I think it's something about our sport that we all appreciate and like.
Your team has bounced back every time they've been challenged this year, and you're in your own building here tonight. You've seen the atmosphere in the first two home games. How much are you looking forward to that tonight and to your team doing what you've come to expect of them to do?
Looking forward to tonight. Yesterday was it was a beautiful day outside, so spend some time outside. And when you get outside, spend a lot of time talking to neighbors and people around our community. And it's amazing, how I think the city has really gone jacket crazy. And everybody's talking about it. You're seeing it everywhere. And we know what this building's going to be like tonight. We got to harness that energy and use it in a positive way. Again, it can't take you over the top. You got to stay disciplined. And again, you can't cross that line. But if we can use that, get that energy, and again use it for positive things, again, it's gonna be an entertaining game.
Hey Todd, I always wondered when these people in this great community run into a head coach in any one of these sports, they must have a bunch of tips or lineup changes or ways to play defense. Or you get a lot of those tips during this time of year.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say tips. Right now it's just it's truly an excitement. I think on board. These games have been great because they've been emotional roller coasters, and whether you've lost a game or whether you've won a game, and that's what you want your fans to feel is kind of the grind that we go through, the emotion that we go through here, and once you've achieved that, and you hear people talking about how tough the loss was and how great it was after the game, and people were yelling and screaming and dancing. That's what you want, and once you do that, again, more people get involved, and then it takes on a life of its own somewhat.
So you're not like Reg Dunlop sitting down at the Aces with guys telling you got to work on that power play.
I don't. If there's an Aces in town, I should try to find it.
Todd, thank you so much for taking the time for us once again. Good luck tonight.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Todd.
And as head coach Todd Richards, his team getting ready for Game 6 tonight against the Pittsburgh Penguins in an elimination game for them. And a lot of the guys have now left the ice. A lot of guys getting back in there to do their 25 interviews they'll have to do before this game tonight. But you enjoy that at this time of
it's
year,
so
right?
great. It's fun. It creates excitement. You see the national media in your room. It's one of those things as a kid you realize, the programs or the networks you've watched growing up, they're there asking you questions. So pretty exciting.
And there are a ton of them down there, I'll tell you that, right now. And we're going to send Mark Wyatt into that room here in just a moment. We'll get you some player reaction before we wrap up this morning's skate. And as you look on the ice right now, David Savard's still out there. Dalton Proud is out there on the ice. Nick Schultz, James Wisniewski, so some defensemen taking some shots there on Jeremy Smith. And who's posted up? There's Wiz right there. And who's posted up right in front, tipping shots? No surprise. Boone Jenner is right there and trying to get himself locked in tonight and, getting in that situation where he hopes to be, standing in front of that net, deflecting shots.
He'll be there. All
right, let's send it downstairs. Mark Wyatt's in the dressing room. Let's listen in with Mark Letestu.
Something we want to be a lot better on. We didn't turn over a lot of pucks, create a lot of more offensive zone shifts. We know that's a big part of our game. So that's somewhere, the focus is going to be. But other than that, I think just the overall battle, compete level has got to be a little bit higher. Not that it wasn't high last game. It's just it's gotten to another level, and we got to find a way to get there.
Guys had very few odd man opportunities in Game 5. What are you looking to do to maybe get more of those opportunities tonight?
Well, I mean, they did a good job not being too aggressive, and sometimes, when they're maybe trying to keep us from getting too many, they'll play passive like that and not give up too many. But, certainly coming out of our zone, we want to be a little more crisp, a little more clean, maybe attack with some more speed, maybe help us get some odd man rushes. But we're not too concerned about the odd man game. Those chances are going to come. It's the offensive zone cycle shifts that have kind of been our calling card that weren't there in Game 5 that we need to find tonight.
Not knowing how the game will be called, is there anything you guys can try to do to maybe draw some more penalties against them tonight?
Well, I mean, I think that's part of it. The offensive zone shifts, you force teams to defend and defend consistently. It causes a little bit of fatigue and hopefully some brain cramps where you start checking with your stick and getting into some hooking and holding. But by no means are we going to be diving or finding a way to influence the referees by hollering at them or anything. It's just you go play hard. Sometimes you get the calls, sometimes you don't. But when we get the opportunities to cash in on the power play, we got to be ready.
Bob probably can't face another 50 shots in order to win this game. What do you guys got to do to take some heat off of him? Is it just mainly possess the puck?
Yeah, I mean, we got to limit some opportunities, maybe block some more shots. If you asked him if he could face another 50, I'm sure he said he could. So, whatever gets thrown his way, he'll be ready for it. But we certainly can help Bob limit some second and third opportunities where they're adding on some shots.
All right, good luck tonight.
Thanks.
All right, that's Mark Letestu. Bob?
All right, Mark, thank you very much. And when you talk about those shots again, it's about where the shots come from. Sometimes 50 is an inflated number, 50, but there are 20 that are real good quality.
Right, and that's we've said it before. Some goalies like to see those shots. It gets them in a rhythm. It gets them in the game. When you sit at the other end and wait for a puck to come your way, it's probably a lonely feeling. I actually played goalie once, and I remember it's kind of boring down there. So I think they like the action. They like to be involved. Not over-involved, of course. Like, you don't want those opportunities being great scoring chances because you want your teammates to play well. But, yeah, shots are fine, I think.
All right, let's hear from Ryan Johansson right now as we send it back downstairs.
Got Ryan Johansson. Let's listen in.
I think everyone here would say the same thing. Wish we could play right now. We want to get out there. And obviously, our backs are against the wall, but we've been in that position for most this year. So, I think we feel pretty comfortable right now, and we just got to find a way to win tonight.
Is this like any other game that you've ever played in junior hockey or anywhere? I mean,
yeah, I made it to the finals in junior hockey, so obviously that was a great run and had had some good experiences down there, but in the NHL, this is the furthest I've been, and it'll be the toughest game I've played at this level. So it'll be a great challenge for all the young guys in here, and we're ready for it though.
You said you didn't have anything to lose. Is that what you guys feel?
Yeah, definitely. I think the other side has all the pressure on them, and winning a cup in the last few years, and all their superstars, if you call them, and so. We got a lot of young guys in here proving themselves, and our team is trying to prove themselves. So it's a great challenge for us in saying that, and we just got to go out there and do our best.
Ryan, what do you guys got to get back to tonight in order to get this win?
Last game we were talking about our forecheck wasn't as good as it was in the previous game, so we'd like to get on the hunt more and try and create some turnovers in the offensive zone and find ways to shoot some more pucks at Fleury and get some traffic on him. So I think if we do that, and stick to our game plan, we should be fine.
You guys are 5 games deep into this series. Does their experience in these type of closeout games matter at this point?
Obviously, they've been here before, which we haven't. So, I mean, if you call that experience, which I guess you would, they have the upper hand there. But, we can play with this team, and we've showed each other in this room that, and the fans outside, and you guys. So, I think everybody's anxious to see what's going to happen tonight, and we're excited to get it going.
You guys are going to try to get a lot of traffic in front of Fleury. How would you expect Pittsburgh to respond to that?
Yeah, I think they're going to try and do the same thing they did last game, be a little more physical and try and make some scrums in front of Bob, which really we're not worried about. He's really good at staying composed and staying in his crease and just focus on what he needs to do. So, we just gotta show up in front of him and play the best we can.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
All right, it's Ryan Johansson.
All right, Ryan Johansson saying some pretty good things right there. I like his attitude. I like his demeanor here this morning.
I love it. And I like that we got nothing to lose.
Right.
I like his demeanor. It's just he's ready to get out there and work hard, and he wants to play right now, which is one of those you're anxious. Especially after a loss. You want to get back out there and get in the fire.
And that's what the Blue Jackets are going to be in right now, the fire here tonight when they hit the ice in Nationwide Arena. Jack Johnson's talking right now. Back downstairs one more time.
What are you guys looking to do a little bit differently tonight, maybe to take a little heat off of Bob?
I think we've been playing well defensively all series. I think it's more offensively. We want to create a little bit more. If we have the puck, they can't score. So, if we can hang on to it a little bit more and have a little bit more possession and more offense our way, it will help defense, and it'll help take a little bit of pressure off Bob. But overall, I think defensively we've been playing really well.
Is it a matter of getting back to some of the things your guys are doing in the earlier games as opposed to the last game, as far as that puck possession, getting in on a forecheck, things like that?
Well, I don't think last game we played terribly. I think if you were to rate all the games in the series, I think that was their best game and probably our worst game. But at the end of the day, we were right there to tie it, and one goal away. It wasn't like all was lost. I think first period we played well up until they scored to tie it. I think that's when the ice started to tilt in their favor, but to start the game, I thought things were going really well for us.
The big games you guys had to play to close out the regular season, how much of a factor can those be in terms of being able to deal with a closeout situation tonight?
The regular season, you kind of check behind you, but we've got a really good group of guys in here with good head on their shoulders. Everyone understands what's at stake, and we're not understating that it's an elimination game at all. We all know it, and everyone will be excited to get out there to play and ready to go.
Looking for a big boost from the crowd tonight too?
Yeah, we have a great crowd. I mean, if you're going to play an elimination game, there's nowhere else we'd rather play.
All right, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
All right, that's Jack Johnson.
All right, once again, you can tell the confidence is there for these guys. They're not, there's that fine line between confidence and cockiness. They're not at the cockiness level. They feel good about themselves. They feel that they can get the job done, and that's the exact attitude you want coming into this game tonight.
Yeah, we love it, and we've loved it all year. They've picked themselves up off the mat, and I love what Jack Johnson said. In the regular season, you look behind you, and here you don't. You just push it aside, take a few of the good and the bad out, make the adjustments, and look forward. And that's a great approach coming into tonight's game.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great one here tonight. Game 6 of this series. The Blue Jackets must win to force a Game 7 in Pittsburgh on Wednesday night. So I guess we'll do this again in round 2.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the way we'll do it. 6:30 tonight, Blue Jackets Live on Fox Sports Ohio, and also on the Blue Jackets Radio Network. We've got pregame coverage starting at 6:30 tonight as well. Jody's on TV. I'm on the radio side. Thanks for watching the Blue Jackets Morning Skate. For Jody Shelley, I'm Bob McElligott, and thank you for watching Jackets TV, presented by Ohio Health.